We eagerly joined up, without question or pause, to fight and to die for the glorious cause. And proudly we wear the Confederate gray. Billy Yank, you'd best stay out of our way. With exuberance we give the famed rebel yell. We're 18 years old, and war sure is swell.
We're learning to march and learning to shoot. I'm wearing a hole in my fine leather boots, but no matter, this war won't last very long. 6 months at the most, and we'll be going home, waving banners of victory, all hearty in hell. When you're 18 years old, war sure is swell.
It seems like something is dreadfully wrong. Who'd have thought it would have ever lasted so long? Our boots are worn out, our horses are gone. Those devils in blue just keep coming on. Mournful sounds have replaced that infamous yell. 18 and a half, and war sure is, well.
My once splendid comrades are a piteous sight, scarecrows in uniform. They fall left and right. I tell them the victory will be worth the pain, but know in my heart they're dying in vain. The last of my buddies lies where he fell, 19, going on 90, and war sure is hell.
I don't know if folks ask me why I'm gonna join, and it's like a twofold answer. First one being a it's because I was told I wouldn't amount to much. Second was because I have always been a big fan of G.I. Joe. And so being a kid, seeing the cool guns and like the uniforms, that's what I actually wanted to do. So that was my chance.
First time I came home was after Iraq in 2005, and it was tough. Looking back on it now, I realize that for the years that would follow, really the 10 years that would follow, I was running. I thought everybody else was different. I thought everybody else had changed. I knew I didn't fit anymore, but I didn't know why or how. And honestly, I didn't want to know. I was basically unattached to anything, no responsibilities. I had burned all the bridges that I could possibly burn, and it just left me alone with my thoughts. For about a year after I got back, I spent 4 or 5 nights a week at the bar, closing it down. When that didn't work, let's turn to other things to help keep you going all night, so you can keep drinking. Destroyed the job that I was at, and I just kept going. Burned everything down in my wake. When I got to the point that I was just at my breaking point, I just couldn't go on anymore feeling the way that I felt. And I couldn't figure out why I felt that way. I just knew I felt it. I needed to get away from these things and start over, and it would be different when I started over. It wasn't. Because I was starting over from a place where I'd never dealt with the things that I had experienced. After several years of fighting with therapists and making sure that they never got what they wanted, which was me to start unpacking things, I finally realized that I had to go completely honest and open up about anything and everything. And let me explain. No matter what I saw when I was deployed, there was always the first image in Iraq that was just the most real to me. I saw a little girl with blood running down her face. We did it. We didn't stop. We didn't do anything. And I put it so far back in my memory that it didn't even come to me. I woke up to it, but when I stopped and thought about what was bothering me, that was never in the forefront of my mind. I hid that, I repressed it as hard as I could. And of course it never worked. It just came out in other ways in my life. I had to just open up and talk about it. And the more I talked about it, the less power it had over me. And so that's where I find myself at today.
I'm not real sure how I can tell this without sounding like I'm patting myself on the back, but I'm not. I guess the biggest thing of my experience of war is watching young men go from a country and not really knowing what they're getting into. You got put into a jungle thousands of miles away from home, and you went from adolescence to adulthood in 24 hours. It's hard to explain the gratitude I have for the young men that I served with. These guys were boys, 18, 19 years old, and not knowing whether we're going to live to see tomorrow or not.
War sure is hell. Perhaps you have your own idea of what hell might be like, but allow me to give you an example of what some of our combat soldiers think of hell. We eat together, fight together, sleep together, scream, cry, and laugh together. The next day, we see our buddies dead, with limbs torn apart or brains spilling out. We may ask ourselves, why did it have to be him and not me? But best as we can, we attempt to pull ourselves together and go on without them. You look at yourself in a mirror, and all of you appears to be there, but something is missing. You're not sure what. Days, weeks, and months pass, and more buddies, our family members, have been killed. You look in the mirror again, seeing if you're still alive. Now the mirror is blurred, and you can't make it clear again. You run away and hide.
When people come back from war, I'm a case in point, you don't want to talk about what happened. People died around you. You were in the fear of death every day, every night that you were there. So when you come home, you are coming back to your family. But the military has been the family. The people in your barracks or in your foxhole, whatever you are, and they've been your family. They understand what it's like, the day-to-day situation.
By now, you, the audience, may be asking yourselves, besides the effect on our minds of seeing our buddies, family, friends killed, what else haunts us the most, whereby we can't sleep at night? And if we do sleep at all, then it is a remembering of the very first person we killed. If there were others, they just become more numbers. It is the image in our minds of that first other human being we killed. That is the face that most often haunts us the most in our sleep and dreams.
The first 3 shots, targets, whatever you want to call them, it took 5, 10, 50 bullets to pull the trigger. The first one, the second one, and the third one. And it took me a couple of weeks to find another target, but what I saw was 5 Americans, GIs. They were on their knees and their hands tied behind their back. There was one individual talking to him, screaming, I don't know, because all I could see was through my scope. He stopped talking, he walked around, and the first guy that he cut to, he shot him. Shot him in the back of the head. And after that, come hell or high water, I was looking for all of him. As soon as he fired, I aimed up at his head and I fired, and his head just blew open. And after that, for the next 8 years, I didn't care. I lost all of my feelings. Although I did talk to the men upstairs constantly, and that's the reason I came back. I was messed up, but I came back, just like a lot of us did. But we came back not whole. We left something. We left something there. And that's what they do. This government. Oh, it's been 60 years for me, and I just started talking. 7 about Vietnam, and hit that only with this man, Monty. I saw too many guys go down. I saw a lot of guys when I was there, but it's taken me 60 years to talk to people. But now I don't talk about what I did in Vietnam. I talk about certain things that I saw in Vietnam. Bodies, I saw tons of them.
My job was like a medic in the Army. And I think the most horrific cry I ever heard was the words "Corman up." When you heard "Corman up," it was an ugly situation you were going to see. Dismembered limbs, blown apart bodies, I mean, beyond recognition. So I have to say that that's the most horrific cry I ever heard was "Corman up." I don't think that you can put words on war. There's a saying, I forget who wrote it or who said it now, but the saying is, war is delightful for those who have no experience of it. So if you haven't experienced it, you'll never understand it. You can't put war into words. You can put it in a movie. That's all really pretty, yeah, but war is hell. And coming home from war is hell. Because now you're a changed person, you're on edge all the time. You're jittery, nobody wants to talk to you about it, nobody understands. And I'm not saying this to reiterate anything, but the Vietnam veterans were treated like crap when they came home. I got out of the service in 1969 in Seattle, Washington, and you could not get a job if they knew you were a Vietnam vet. They wouldn't even talk to you because they thought you were crazy. They called you baby killers. They didn't want to have anything to do with you. Through the years, through therapy and psychiatric help, I've gotten a lot better than I was. I had a lot of anger for a lot of years. But I think that the biggest thing that's helped me get over it is helping these young guys that have come home from Iraq and Afghanistan. And making them feel welcome and that they're not going to be forgotten. Our chapter of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, we reach out to young veterans. We reach out to young veterans through the vet centers. We always we're always looking for young guys and just giving them a hand, saying, you know, you're welcome. This is a Medal of Honor winner. This man saved my life in Vietnam. His name's Douglas Eugene Dickey. He died Easter Sunday, 1967. These men like this boy was 19 years old, he's a real hero. I'm going to his hometown this month. March the 26th is falling on the Sunday, exactly 50 years to the day that he gave up his life to save his brother Marines.
My name is Lawrence Orvis. I was with the 25th Infantry in Vietnam. I had 2 tours. Today, I'm 69 years old, and I would do the same thing all over again. And I went through many tunnels underground. Sometimes you had to be lowered down by rope. And you know, they go in forward, there ain't no turning around. You have to back out the same way you came in. I want to emphasize to those that didn't make it back that there were some friendly fire that took some of our comrades. And I must say that, because it's true. Especially at night, when you get a perimeter break, and Charlie's coming through, and the sky is lit up, and you start firing back. They could be anywhere from 20 to 30 yards out, and you start firing back. The worst thing you do is stand up and move your position, but you got to stay put, otherwise you're liable to be taken out by friendly fire.
From its foundation, the United States of America has been a warring nation, founded on killings and blood. We cheated, abused, lied to, and killed the majority of the amazing indigenous people on this continent, then took their land. We have gone to many foreign countries, and in the name of keeping the peace and keeping us safe, we have done the same things to the people there that we did to the indigenous people here.
For us in Vietnam, it's the mortars going over every day, it's the helicopters landing at the Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base with the bodies on either side of the landing gear, piling them up, the body counts. But it's also the lies, it's also the deceptions, it's also whether or not any of these wars has made a contribution to society. Or is this a way in which hundreds of corporations make billions of dollars from war?
Like when I got wounded, I didn't tell no one. You know, when they took me out of Vietnam and sent me to Japan. I was in Shaniki, Japan, in a hospital where the serious wounded were at. And being there is worse than being in Vietnam because of the yelling, the crying, the begging, the pain, the hurt, the thumping in your brains. Some were Army, some were Marines, some were Air Force, some were Navy. I don't even know who they were. But they're yelling and they're crying at night and you can't sleep, and then I couldn't move. I was paralyzed for the longest time. And it is so hard to be in there, especially when night falls. And you can hear these other ones yelling and crying, and I remember there was a color guy who wanted some black socks, but he didn't have no feet. And what am I supposed to say? I'll get you the best pair of black socks that I can find.
Yeah.
To comfort him and myself.
You saw that a lot, medevacing guys that were instant amputees, whether it was arms or legs. they were still saying, I can feel my foot, I can feel my leg, I know it. And you have to look them in the face and say, you don't have a leg.
We couldn't vote and we couldn't drink. But we could fight and die, yeah.
Just like I said before, war is hell. War is just, there is nothing pretty about war. There's nothing nice about it. And there's absolutely no excuse for fighting the wars that we fight nowadays. Before you could be a senator or a congressman for the United States of America, you had better served your country in the military first. And also, serve your country first and have term limits in Congress. There's absolutely no reason for you to be a career politician.
You might wonder why so many soldiers have signed up for consecutive tours of duty in Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the like, especially since war is hell. But sad to say, for many soldiers, their war family and friends understand and are closer to them than those left on the home front. When is all the useless killing going to end?
Chuck Cave's Songer June the U.S. Army, and I have a traumatic brain injury, and pingy and Steve from my second tour. RP pingy hit, and I just kind of raised my legs up just in time, and then lost my crew due to a problem, and so I went back to the base and just tried to piece it all together. The next day, I am sick, so I was pulled from the mission and someone else went, and then that crew all was killed due to a bombing, and so I actually trying to kill myself, and my guns just wouldn't work. Thank you. Thank you, Bubba. But hey, I'm all right.
Yes, we are a warring people. And just as a reminder, we had the Revolutionary War, American Indian Wars, War of 1812, Spanish-American War, Mexican War, World War I, World War II, Korean, and all the others since then. The men that send the rest of us to fight these wars typically sit in fine offices, wearing fine suits, eating fine meals, sleeping in fine beds. And while under the auspices of defending our country, we soldiers go get ourselves killed or wounded, returning home with their souls left on the battlefield in a foreign country. We get the grand label of having PTSD, and we get fed drugs to numb and cover up our pain. But that does not heal us. Instead of PTSD, meaning post-traumatic stress disorder, I think I'll call it pretty terrible stupid diagnosis.
I'm Senator Mary Jane Garcia from the historic village of Doñana, and one of the most significant things that I have done in my life is having spent 6 years in Vietnam during the war, from 1966 to 1972. During that time, I got to meet a lot of veterans. I got to see what they were going through. I remember their faces when they cried sometimes. They were confused. They got into drugs. They got into prostitution. They went with these bad girls from Tudor Street. they were so confused they didn't know what to do or what they were doing there. So I would try to convince them to come with me to the zoo because that was the only place to go to on Sundays. We worked from Monday through Saturday in our company. We had one day off Sunday, so I would convince some of them to come to the zoo and see the beautiful zoo. It was not a very nice zoo. A lot of children there that were they were homeless themselves. They were orphans. A lot of our soldiers left a lot of Vietnamese orphans there. Some were beautiful kids. Some of them you could tell that they were half American. But that's one of the things that impressed me the most from Vietnam, the homeless veterans. There should never be a homeless veteran in our nation. So when I was in the state senate, I was able to get $700,000 one year for homeless veterans. And that's one of the most significant things I think that I did in my tenure in the state senate of 24 years. The other thing was the helicopters. You know, every morning when I woke up, I'd go to the window in Saigon and I'd see all these helicopters go out into the war every morning, early, and then they would come back in the evening. So when they brought this helicopter to Roadrunner, where the wall is located, it had a very special meaning for me to see that helicopter right there. Right there. I was there when they inaugurated it. It was beautiful. It was exciting to see all those veterans out there, all excited and full of pride because they had fought for our country. And we need to never forget that. And we need to never forget veterans of any war, but especially the Vietnam veteran, because the way they were treated. They came home, they were ill, nobody knew what PTSD meant. They knew what it meant, they knew they weren't well. I got to see a lot of soldiers get into those issues of drugs and with women, leaving them there. Some of them actually fell in love with them, married them, and then left them with the kids there in Vietnam. They came home, so I can imagine how they felt when they came home without their own children. But I have a special feeling for veterans of Vietnam, always will. Because 6 years there, I got to see a lot of action. And I got to see and talk to a lot of veterans. I love them, always will. I was recruited to serve in the Vietnam Veteran chapter here in Las Cruces, and I served for quite some time.
I was homeless. I lived in the Oregon Mountains for 8.5 months.
I ate literally out of dumpsters for 6 to 9 months. Me and my dog lived in my truck. Couldn't get work, couldn't find help, self-medicated, drank a lot.
My name is Joe Harrison. I'm a retired Master Sergeant, United States Army. I spent 22 years in the military, veteran of 3 wars, Somalia, Kuwait, and the last one was Iraq. I retired right after I spent over a year in Iraq and retired. When I come back from Iraq, my parents were both factory workers, so I thought that'd be something I'd want to do. I come back to East Tennessee where I knew there weren't a lot of jobs, but I found a job working in a factory that did government contracts, and worked there for about 5 years. And when I finished there, I was in my late 40s, and then we kept running out of work. Then we had a shutdown, and once we shut down, there's just not too many people standing in line to hire 45-year-old men, and with all the awards and everything you receive in the military, you figure out real fast that it's that and $1 will get you a cup of coffee at a fast food restaurant. I had a great time in the military. I gave them my youth, best part of my life, with no regrets. I'd do it again. But once I got out, I was sheltered from the real world, I guess. I always thought if you was willing to work and wanted to work, you could have a life. You go somewhere for years at a time away from your family, and you sacrifice. You get paid for it, and none of us was drafted. We all did it because we wanted to, but most of us done it because we thought we were saving democracy and saving a country. And then once you come out and you see what the country's become, and you have to basically beg people for a job. I've got a degree. I've got 22 years of leadership experience, and every time I go anywhere to look for a job, I can get a security job guarding a gate somewhere. I said, I'm not ashamed or too good to take the job, but what's the 18-year-old kid nowadays that gets out of school with no experience? What are they offering him? They're offering him nothing. So what's he going to turn to? He's going to turn to drugs, pills. He's going to ruin his life. So I just like to say, if anybody that sees this can do anything about it, we need to keep the jobs that we've got here, make more of them, and quit looking at the bottom line and look what's best for the country as a whole. We've turned people against the government, with the Republicans and the Democrats bickering between each other. We have no trust in government anymore. And at the same time, most of the people that complain about people taking jobs and jobs going somewhere else, they've not attempted to get a job in a year. And I used to think bad about those people, until I was one of them out trying to get a job. I went from making right at $48,000, $50,000 a year in the military to competing with teenagers and 22-year-olds for a $22,000 a year job. It's a slap in the face, and in this country, I'm not saying I'm entitled to anything. I'm willing to work for it, but there's nothing out there for me to work at. And I've got a lot of years left to work, but when you can hire young men that are standing in line to do something, you got 10 people for every one job. Where I work down there's people with bachelor's degrees coming in trying to get a job. It's crazy. The world's just, and college even ain't what it used to be. Degrees, you come in with your degrees, it don't mean as much anymore, because there's so many people who have them, and there's no jobs. Basically, the way to get a job nowadays, you have to know somebody. It's basically like you're making some type of secret backdoor deal just to get a minimum wage job. That's how scarce they are. For the one American out there that cares, there's 2,500 of them out there that don't. And the one that does care and tries to do something, it's just overwhelming, because there's just you have no support. I mean, you have your Tea parties, your Democrat parties, your Republican parties, but we need a people's party.
He deserves better than what our politicians are giving him. He deserves more. He deserves more respect. And he represents thousands that's done the same thing. They deserve more. They deserve you and I to do everything that we can possibly do to remember how to be Americans and make this a country that we are proud of and that we want to live in, and that we have a say-so, that something matters to our politicians. It's not just we can do whatever we want to because nobody cares anymore. I care. I know that you care. I know that this man, this soldier, cares. Every military person that I've talked to, without hesitation, said, I'll do it again. They deserve you acting and doing something.
Hi, my name is Monty Hudson. I'm the president and founder of For Veterans' Sake Foundation. We're an organization that provides highly trained service dogs that are specially trained for the needs of military members that are suffering with PTSD. And our dogs are, the way we train is we're the only ones in the world that do the training the way we do it, because we use hypnosis and interrogation practices to fine-tune the dogs to the veterans' needs. So each dog is trained exactly to what their needs are based on their symptoms. Our motto for Veterans Sake Foundation is honoring their service and empowering their return. And the meaning of that is we're going to honor them because they raised their right hand, they went and performed their call to duty. But empowering their return, society will not adjust to the veteran returning. The veteran will have to assimilate back to society. And that's what we try to do. We try to bring in many different forms of counseling and other organizations that help in different ways, not just in what we do. We try to bring everything together for the veteran to have a complete concept of what it's going to take to assimilate back into society. Or what the rules and regulations are of service dogs. We're there to talk, we're there to help them in any way we possibly can. And that mobile unit really works out good, and it's very effective. It's what we call our most direct effect method of what we do in helping veterans.
So I'd like to tell a story about one such soldier who was very angry, very, very angry when he got here. His people that sent him told me to be careful because he was very, very upset. So he came griping about the program and griping about the horses, and we allowed him to gripe and then to have some cup of coffee and then to pick out a horse that he chose that he would like to work with. So he chose our bad horse at the time, who was also having pain and was right on the same, having the same experience as a soldier. So he went up to that horse, and within a very short time, the horse helped him be himself and calm down. Within 45 minutes, he was laughing, he was focused on the horse, he was not paying attention to us, but was focusing on himself and the environment and the horse. And he came to the front porch where we usually debrief things, and he came to the porch and was laughing, and he said, I feel better than I have felt in a whole year, and this horse is mine. And he said, can I bring my family here to the ranch? And I said, yes, you can. And when would you like to come? He said, next weekend, this coming weekend. And I said, of course. So he brought his 3 children and his wife, and they arrived at the ranch on Saturday. And within the little girl, before she could be introduced, jumped out of the car and ran up to me and said, are you Miss Ann? Are you Miss Ann? And I said, yes, I'm Miss Ann. And she just grabbed me. And she said, my daddy has been so sad and so upset and so mad for a year, and he's happy now. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the ranch, Spirit Ranch, for being with my daddy. And now you're welcoming us as a family to come here, and I'm saying, yes, we want you and your brothers and you and your dad and your mom to be with us. The horses want that too.
When I came home from Vietnam, we were told to put our uniforms in the trash at the airport when we landed stateside, and to get away from a whole image of being a soldier. We were actually in fear of the peace movement, and we didn't actually encounter them, at least I didn't. And later on I would join the peace movement because I thought the war was ridiculous, waste of life. Some 58,000 veterans died from that war. They continue to die to this day. We have 20 veterans a day commit suicide. So you're talking about some thousands and thousands a year. In fact, in 7 years of suicide, we actually lose more to suicide than we do to combat. And that speaks to what's the responsibility of society as veterans return home. And I, for one, think it's more than waving flags, and it's more than having signs that say support the troops. During the Gulf War and the wars after, I led protests after march here in Las Cruces and vigils in front of the federal building, etc. We wanted to really drive this point home, so we got a huge billboard that we raised money for. So if you want to support the troops, bring them home.
You're gonna fight a war, go to war. Don't fiddle around with these police actions. And you know, if you're gonna go after ISIS or Al-Qaeda or whatever, you tell them people we're coming to get you and let's go fight a war. Don't keep sending guys over there, having them come home with no legs, no arms, TBIs. These guys coming back with concussion injuries, brain injuries, that just, there's no excuse for it. And there's no reason for us to be there. Look at Iraq. Same thing happened in Vietnam. Go over there, you get a bunch of guys killed for nothing, and come back and say, oh, well, yeah, I guess that's good enough.
One of the concerns that I have today about veterans is that a lot of them are not getting the help that they need, either physical, emotional. A lot of them with PTSD, they don't know where to go. A lot of them still call me and I try to help them. I usually send them to a congressman for help. But you know, veterans should be able to go to any hospital and say, I'm a veteran, here's my credentials, help me. And we don't do that. We have to wait until we build clinics, and then some of them fail, and then there's the veteran suffering, not able to get any help. So they kind of give up, and they die. You know, they have bad diseases that they're not going to be taken care of, they'll die. Some of them might need a kidney transplant. Some of them might need a liver transplant, and nobody's taking care of those veterans. So we need to be aware that the veterans are still there, that they should be helped at any hospital, in any state. Help the veteran get well. They fought for us. They fought for our freedom. They fought for our country. We owe it to them to take good care of them. Bless them.
Let me offer a small ray of hope to some of the guys and women out there who have been through these experiences. I always felt like, oh, I don't want to do therapy, I don't want to do therapy. And each type of therapy has something to offer. But what I experienced in group therapy was really profound, that I realized I wasn't alone. It wasn't just me that was experiencing these things, these feelings. It's almost like other people would talk, and it's like they told my story, like we shared a chapter of a book. And without knowing anything about me or my past or my history, me never having brought these things up, they're telling it from their own life, and I'm seeing it in my life. That was powerful. That feeling of not being alone, no matter how intense it was, it blew my mind. It made me want to keep going. It made me want to keep finding ways to get better, to be better, and to help.
I'm Ed Breeding, producer-director of this film, Shattered Reality. I would like to tell you how this film came to be. I had previously been working for the past 4 months on another film project, and it just hadn't come to fruition. I didn't have the punch for it, and it was on hold. At that time, a good friend of mine, Ann Remick Barlow, called me. Said, Ed, I would really like you to meet my nephew. He's coming in from Fort Worth, Texas. I really want you and him to meet. He's a veteran of Iraq, Afghanistan, and has PTSD. So with that said, she brought him over the evening he arrived. We met. The following morning he came back. We spent 3 hours talking, but in the first 10 minutes of talking with this young man, I knew I had to do this film, Shattered Reality. So with that said, again, I want to thank Matt for coming here. Besides that trip, he came back again and worked with me on the pre-editing of this film, which is invaluable for me to have a veteran working beside me to pre-edit the film to whereby it's ready for my editor and I to do the final touches. I also want to thank all of the brave, wonderful people that shared their heartfelt lives with us in this film. I know it wasn't easy for them. They cried, I cried during the making of this film, during the interviews. They were so compelling. Much longer than what you see in this film, of course. But nevertheless, I really thank them for sharing their lives, their pain, their torment. Hopefully it can help other soldiers out there across the country, war veterans that have been through similar experiences, as well as I hope this film can help educate the public at large, the civilian population that has not been in military but wants to understand what these poor souls have gone through. So again, I dedicate this film to the soldiers in the film, the people in the film, as well as all those out there that are war veterans that have served our country in a brave and honorable way. Thank you all very much.
I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of war. There is no sickness, no toil, no danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my mother. She said she'd meet me when I come. So I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.